Transmitting to you from Old Heart Radio. Where it is? Thank you. He's underwater.
Ba-doo-ba-dee-doo-ba-dee-doo.
Hey,
Oh my God! Did I hit record? I did.
There it is.
Thank you.
He's underwater.
That's technically supposed to be applause, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
It sounded like a water sound effect.
It sounds like it's raining really heavily outside.
Interesting.
There's a couple of whoops. Anyway.
There it is. All right.
Yeah, well, obviously, bad sound effects or ill-timed sound effects means Matinee Edition.
There it is. So, we actually got some stuff to talk about this week.
We actually do.
First up, F9.
F9. I like that,
Oh my
man.
God.
I like that, man. F9.
F9, the
Fast and Furious
saga.
9, starring John Cena.
Ba, 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 ba.
You can't see him, but he sees you, motherfucker. This movie continues. They dropped another trailer this week, and it continues.
A year after the first.
Continues to baffle and blow minds all at the same time.
I know. I want to actually give them a word of praise. Whoever, I'm blown away it took them this long to get to magnets. And it might be, when it comes to the physics-defying shit they do in those movies that makes no sense, it's probably the most grounded it's been in a while.
I'm really interested. Like that whole, there's like multiple things that you can see in that trailer. One, you see like them destroying that giant truck, which reminds me of like
the Dark Knight.
It's like that. It reminds me of like a sequence in Live Free or Die Hard.
Oh my God.
But also
with Bruce Willis and Jai Courtney.
Yeah, dude, the Spruce Bruce, man.
God.
But then even further into that trailer, you see what appears to be some sort of truck or something about to take out an airplane, and that is also in
truck.
Live Free and Die Hard.
Really?
Yeah.
So I didn't see that comparison, but a lot of people picked up that a lot of the imagery and like sequences are very akin to Christopher Nolan films.
Oh,
like you have the spiraling hallway at one point. Inside the truck as Dom is running to get into the cabin.
They're really trying to step it up, the classiness of it all, really.
You have the Dark Knight. You have the small space shuttle as well. Which,
man, we got to talk about that. We got to talk about that whole space issue.
Is it an issue, though?
You're right. It's not an issue.
I'm
happy that this is happening, but...
wait, I have one thing I want to bring up before that.
Yeah.
First off, trailer was great. Super exciting.
Like exactly what you want out of a Fast and Furious trailer.
Exactly what you want. I noticed that there are some significant absences though. Other than The Rock, we knew The Rock wasn't going to be in it.
Yeah. Well, him and Vinny D don't get along, right?
Him and Vinny D don't get along, but apparently they do now. Whatever. No Kurt Russell.
God damn. I forget that sometimes some of these people have been in this franchise.
Although it looks like we might be getting more Helen Mirren, which is always nice.
Yeah, there seems to be at least one driving action sequence with her.
Yeah, and then even if you forgot about Kurt Russell, you'll definitely have forgotten about Scott Eastwood's presence because he's not in it.
Yeah, I forgot about Scott.
Dude, it's like Paul Walker died, and they were like, "We need another blatantly normal white dude to fill the gap."
They're trying to, they need to try and fill that weird void.
Dude,
but
it's gonna be filled. White dude is gonna be filled by John Cena by the end of this movie. Come on,
dude, he's gonna become family again.
you went. There's the line. Oh, two great lines in the trailer.
It's
like,
so hard
you
not to
say you
just-
never turn your back on family, but you turned your back on me. Great line. The writer earned his paycheck there.
Oh,
The
so beautiful.
real like when he cashes his paycheck, that's when he wrote the "How are we playing this?" Fast line.
Oh my god, dude. It's this is how much like fun these movies are, is that like you get so much fun just talking about the trailers and the movies themselves. Like you can laugh so hard about these movies that it's always going to be worth it to watch, I think.
Absolutely.
Because it's just joy. It's just fun and joy. Don't take it seriously. Laugh at it.
There are potentially exciting things to come, because when a Universal rep was asked, I want to say it was one of the producers of Fast and Furious.
Mm-hmm.
He was asked if they were asking him dumb questions, just seeing like what he would what crossovers they do.
Oh yeah.
And like they asked like, oh, Transformers, and he was like, no, that's a bit too much. Then somebody went Jurassic Park, and he said, now that we might do. And I was like, really? This are we gonna do like the Universal verse here? Like Chris Pratt riding a dinosaur while Vin Diesel's next to him?
All of their movies are on the table.
There it is.
But
and then, like what if Dark Universe Fast and Furious? Tom Cruise shows up as a fucking weird vampire creature.
Vin Diesel's fighting Russell Crowe's Dr.
Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah, Jekyll and Hyde situation.
That's just ridiculous. I know.
But seriously though, we have to at least mention, we got to talk about other shit, more important shit, but we have to mention the NOS fueled car craft, space car. It was like a car that had wings that had a big NOS tank in it, apparently.
Oh my god.
That's what they showed you before they panned out really quick.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
It looks like was it Luda and Tyrese?
Yeah, Ludacris and Tyrese, which is the perfect people I'd want to see go to space.
I want them to go to space so hard.
Yeah.
Do you think they're just going to the upper atmosphere? Or do you think they're going all the way to space?
Who knows, man? I mean, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if they're taking out a fucking satellite. But I love that they're in like the submersible suits as well. Like we couldn't afford to get these government-backed fucking spies at this point couldn't get themselves like actual astronaut suits. So they're stuck in submersible suits going to space.
Yeah, dude. Like that. It definitely like it's interesting because I can't tell if it was like a purely plot driven aspect, like where it's like that they were like trying to launch these people into, they're trying to make them fly somewhere at least, or if it was a response to the popularity of the idea from fans, like the speculation from fans, where it's like, when are they go? Like, are they going?
I would say I would say like a mix of both, Yeah,
for sure. But either way, I'm looking fucking forward to that.
Me too.
That like I thought that the pinnacle of that movie was going to be Dom hitching his car to like that chain and flying across.
I was going to make a joke about after if they pan out more from the rocket car, you see Dom's car flying by as well.
He's living fast, man. That motherfucker lives fast.
You know what I'm more excited for though than space? Charlize Theron's bowl cut. On that note, Shang-Chi and the Master of Kung Fu also dropped a trailer this morning.
Boom. Yeah. Well, I believe it's the star's birthday. So.
Oh, yeah. Simu Liu?
Yeah. It's his birthday today. And so I
of
think
Kim's
that's
Convenience
probably,
fame.
Yeah. Although,
RIP.
Yeah, dude. Fuck that. But anyway, yeah. The Shang-Chi trailer dropped, and it looks like a really fucking fun movie. It looks like it's gonna have some cool sequences. It reminds me basically of a Kung Fu Ant-Man.
Yeah, that's sort of what I was thinking. Like relatively lower stakes in the grand scheme of things, a bit more grounded.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes sense. There's been a lot of, excluding Falcon the Winter Soldier, a lot of the recent stuff has been pretty high stakes.
Definitely. I mean, yeah, I would say like, yeah, because WandaVision, for instance, everybody knew that was going to interfere with the MCU at large.
Yeah.
Falcon and Winter Soldier, for instance, is very self-contained. And I think I think that this will be an interesting mix of both. We'll probably see like some, nods to the greater MCU in Shang-Chi.
Absolutely.
But I think it will be a pretty self-contained
I
movie,
mean,
and then
it's
he'll
relating
probably
to
be
the Ten
introduced.
Rings and the Mandarin, two things that have already been brought up in the Iron Man. So
Yeah, well, exactly, and that'll be interesting in itself because the way they brought it up in Iron Man was like it was just like a completely different take
yeah,
at the time of that, in general. And
I want
so
to say it was attached to the Blu-ray release of the Winter Soldier, but there's a short called "Long Live the King" or something like that was about the Trevislatery in prison, and I guess
Ben Kingsley did a fucking bang up job at that character, by the way.
What did Honest Trailers call it? Osama bin Kingsley.
But what was this short about?
So it was essentially him in prison, and he gets like interrogated, and then I'm pretty sure he gets killed at the end of it by a dude working for the real Mandarin.
Dope. Okay, I'll have to look that up. It's probably on YouTube at this point.
Yeah, it was just a one shot. I'm pretty sure there was another one that was released with like something weird happened on the way to Thor's hammer is what it's called, and it's with Agent Coulson in like a convenience store.
Oh.
And it's just like little like scenes that were made to pair with films, fill gaps.
Enough. I remember them doing some of that like early on. I just don't think I ever really checked them out.
Yeah, that pretty cool. Overtly set up that what we saw in Iron Man 3 wasn't the legit Mandarin, but somebody who was taking the name and running with it.
Interesting. Well, that's cool. I'm glad that they tried to like plant that earlier on because I mean, not that I'm like, I was just, that's good that maybe they'll probably not take the time necessarily to have to explain that transition in the movie.
They might have they'll probably have to reference it in some form, but it won't be too burdensome.
Yeah. But overall, like the action looks kind of cool. I would say it reminds me a bit of like I said, Ant-Man earlier. There's like that whole bus sequence with Awkwafina.
That's very Ant-Man.
Yeah, it was like an interesting mix of like Ant-Man and Spider-Man vibes I was getting from it. He like pulls that person back like at the last minute and stuff. But
the interesting comparison I saw was that Shang-Chi, they're essentially setting him up like Damian Wayne, where Damian Wayne, son of Batman, was raised by Talia al Ghul in the League of Assassins. Before rebelling against them and becoming Batman's new Robin. We're seeing a similar story here, but just Shang-Chi is going to end up taking down his League of Assassins in the form of the Ten Rings.
Yeah, like his father had him trained from a young age, and he doesn't necessarily agree with those practices. We'll say. But I think you're right. That'll be pretty cool. To see that play out, and I wonder if he'll end up being a crossover character with like future characters like Oscar Isaac's Moon Knight, for instance. Like they would be an interesting pairing to have like together on screen.
Absolutely, that would be very interesting.
Just because like stuff like that. Like I think that's mainly what his character will the character of Shang-Chi will be moving forward after this movie.
It looks like there's a bit of mysticism with the rings, but I think it would be Shang-Chi would be a very interesting connector between some of the mystical elements and some of the more street level elements.
Yeah.
Sort of like an Iron Fist type.
Totally. I feel like it'll be a successful Iron Fist.
Exactly. So one more quick piece of news. Apparently there's something coming to the Avatar YouTube channel in the next few days.
Oh yeah. So fill me in on whatever you know about this.
So a 3-part series of some sort is coming to the YouTube channel. Nobody knows what it is. That's essentially all they've said. So I'm leaning in the direction of it's probably going to be like a short series where the creators are doing like essentially like look at our new studio, look at the projects that we have in store potentially.
Like a kind of production video of like here's what we're working on, gearing up for,
Yeah, almost akin to like the Disney like press conferences where they announce a bunch of shit. Like,
I mean, it'd be smart to do something like that.
Definitely, it would essentially be Nickelodeon's response to like the MCU when you're looking at it. And I think it would. That's what I'm leaning towards. I doubt it's going to be like a self-contained story or something. I would be impressed if it is, but I don't want to.
Wild.
That would be nuts. I wouldn't, considering the studio only formed like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
That would be ridiculous. So I don't expect that, but I do expect some kind of like briefing or something like that.
Fair enough. And when did you say?
I think it said the 22nd or the 23rd. So later this week.
Interesting. Well, if they
Excited to
drop
see
on
what
the
happens.
23rd, they're gonna have to compete for attention with Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next week.
There's a lot of crossover demographic there.
Yeah, totally. We'll watch Mortal Kombat though. Expect that to come up.
Oh fuck yeah, we're watching. I'm gonna watch. That's gonna happen. But anyway, that'll be interesting. Either way, if it's like some sort of series of involving characters and like animation in a show,
yeah,
if it's some sort of like behind the scenes kind of stuff,
like here's what's coming.
That would all like either one would be really cool. I'm always down for that kind of behind the scenes. It's cool to kind of feel a little more like the creators behind the things you like.
Absolutely.
I mean? That's what like Stan Lee and like Marvel did so well early on with like the soapbox and like the little writer's notes and the panels and shit. So yeah, I think that'd be fucking great.
That'd be great.
Hell yeah.
So on to actual stuff we've watched this week.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna talk about Falcon, but
briefly
we got to talk about the HBO now or HBO Max Qanon series.
Q Into the Storm.
Yeah. So you just finished it up.
I just finished it
up a little bit ago.
Dude, it's so fucking interesting.
It's wild, man.
There were so many points that blew my mind.
What's wild about this series is they barely touch on some of like not barely, but they don't fully like focus on the beliefs of Q.
Yeah, it's more the response to Q and the human impact of it.
Yeah, as well as the documentarian tries to trace the evidence pipeline of like who Q is, and it's really compelling, man, because
it's so interesting.
I mean, in terms of like modern time, like watching as this has like progressed was wild, but then sort of,
I think the documentary took place over like 4 years, I think, right? And 6-part series, and it's just going through time, seeing everything that happened, and you got to see it start from like that relatively fringe thing, and then it ends with the January 6th riots.
Yeah, so it starts off on what fucking 4chan or some shit, and jumps off onto a different website and platform, and then slowly just keeps growing and growing and growing, culminating in real life action. And it's like that's the wild thing. This is like all started on some fucking message boards.
I was blown away when like the Freddy guy ended up having to get essentially taken out of the Philippines because he was going to get convicted and he would die in prison because of his physical health issue.
Yeah, and and that's the depth. So towards the end, in the last episode, towards the end, the documentarian basically points out that it really seems like this guy Ron Watkins is behind the Q drops and Q in general, and the dynamic that him and his father have throughout the entire documentary really is eerie in a lot of ways, because
it's very unsettling.
It's unsettling because you can tell they're both sharp in certain ways, like
they weirdly go between like this person's a fucking moron and them being like maniacal geniuses.
Yeah, and so it's quite compelling to watch, but like it's interesting because the son is the tech genius who clearly could figure out how to do these things. He's Ron Watkins runs 8chan basically. His father owns it, and his father seems to be pretty like driven by like vengeance on people for things, and like being kind of like he purposely tries to be crass and be contrarian. And so you could see perhaps like them collaborating on this idea, and then figuring out how to work it. I mean,
and then it's like, and it's worth noting, it seems like Ron just gets off on fucking with people and absolutely watching the world burn.
Yeah, which you could see like he gets kind of probably from his dad in a way. Like his dad seems pretty fuck all to anything he doesn't like, and you could see that kind of get rubbed off on his kid. And like that's why it's so convincing that they could pull this off. You know what I mean? Not because like they own the website even. It's because they like the personality types seem perfectly aligned with this. And then at the end of it, with Ron slipping up and like basically acknowledging that he's no longer anonymously making Q drops.
He never overtly says I am Q, but he says like, because it's worth noting, his Twitter account got banned when Donald Trump's got banned earlier this year. And Trump had been essentially retweeting his crazy conspiracy theories about COVID for a bit. Yeah. And about the election. And he, in an interview, just goes like, oh, I'm just doing what I've been doing, but not anonymously. And then very obviously looks like he just fucked up. Yeah. And admitted something. Yeah. So it's like you're sort of extrapolating, but the evidence is so compelling.
But the evidence, it's not. Yeah, it's like that moment is just sort of like the cherry on top of everything else that you've seen. You know, you've gobbled up and you've seen how these people operate and how they talk to other people and themselves and all this shit, and you see their like some of their motivations, and then you're just like, wow, okay, yeah, this dude just slipped up. This all makes sense. So I wonder if there will be some sort of like investigation into these individuals further. Once this kind of more comes to light, or if there's already one going on. But either way, it's a hell of an interesting series. I think people should watch it if they have access to it.
Absolutely.
Especially people who believe in that shit, because then they'll probably maybe they'll think a little bit differently.
I did love how it painted the QTubers. They were all dude. They were all either like they were all outwardly stupid, or like one of them was a blatant misogynist.
Yeah, dude. Unfortunately they all probably get more listens than this podcast does, but they're all fucking bigger rejects than we are. When like I can have, it's like scary but also kind of funny to think about that. Like there are more people that listen to those people than you think, and one of them, the dude with like the quasi mullet who looked like his wife had to ask him approval to talk, was like,
oh yeah, that was
Christian
so awkward
guy who was like it's like this, like it's this wildest like combination of characters, like Jesus loving fucking rednecks who believe in Q, people that want the government to fucking burn, believe in Q, like
or the woman who used to work at the Hollywood Reporter that was like, they wouldn't let me publish these articles about pedophile rings. It was like, yeah, because there's no evidence and it's a real journalism site.
That's what I'm saying, dude. It's like, it's just people. It's wild. Giving up on fucking fact. Anyway, yeah, like I said, I think people should watch it because it's definitely interesting. And I blew through. Like I watched it as it came out. Yeah. But like I was like on it as soon as it came out because I was so interested in the next episode. So now that it's all out, I bet people can binge through it pretty fucking quick.
Speaking about breaking the bones of America, should we talk about Falcon the Winter Soldier?
Yeah, we got it before we run out here. There's episode 5, man.
It was mostly character-driven episode, so I don't have too much to say.
Some cool action, but there's like the
taking off the shield from John Walker when Falcon and Bucky were kicking. Well, they were getting their asses handed to him for most of it.
They did, dude. Walker handed them their fucking asses for a sec until they
basically broke his arm.
Yeah. They basically had him like pinned down. He also like ripped off one of Falcon's wings.
Both of them.
The dude's insanely strong at this point, like in comparison to where he was.
Yeah. Serum did its trick, man.
For sure. But there's multiple layers to this episode, man. Like I gotta say, like, Walker from the get-go, kind of his first appearance was laughable, but his character has gotten heavier, and even though he's getting darker as a character, he's becoming more relatable. And that's the scary thing about it, is because like there's
you feel bad for him
with this whole storyline, like. He's just lost you have to look at it from his perspective, right? He lost his buddy, Battlestar's fucking dead, Lamar's dead, he has to go visit their family, he has to go take care of all that shit,
and the military fucked him.
On top of that, the military strips him of his
of his honors and title.
Yeah,
they took away his pension.
They took away his pension and his fucking title and retirement. Like that's such bullshit. And and all
that likens back to Civil War of like the main argument from Cap in Civil War was that a government endorsed superhero team will be screwed from the get-go. Yeah. And this is it. A government endorsed superhero just got shafted because he wasn't the perfect image.
Because he did something that they didn't agree with. And and that's it, man. Like but and he tries, like, what's really interesting, and that was the most compelling part of the whole like scene where he appears before the Senate panel or whatever.
Yeah.
He's just trying to get a word in. He's like, I just want to tell you what the story was from my perspective, like from me in the moment, and like they just wouldn't have it.
And he's not wrong in saying that like he was what they asked him to be.
Yeah,
he only did what they wanted.
They built him. I mean, granted, they didn't give him the serum, and that's the wild card in the whole thing. But it's a big I don't know. It's a big thing to take on, like amongst other issues in this episode, talking about how the U.S. government treats its veterans and its people in service are, it's a weighty subject, but it's very relevant to today, man. The veterans in this country are fucking treated like trash, and it's interesting. But
we get a bit more Isaiah Bradley, which is nice.
Dude. Yeah, and you get kind of a deeper story to him.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude! Like. What a fucking like bullshit, heartbreaking story, though, dude. Like, you know what I mean?
So I can't speak to it because I'm a white man, but I was watching Double Toasted, and both their hosts are African American, and they were talking about how the interesting dichotomy between Sam and Isaiah Bradley, where Isaiah's like, "Fuck this country. I've been through so much shit. They put me through hell." But Sam is still optimistic. It's like for them, they immediately empathize with it because it's the whole, you can't do this because you're insert race. But then in order to get to a better society, you have to constantly push the envelope. So I thought that was very interesting hearing that.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely is an interesting like dynamic. And, it's just like, what's funny to me, not funny, I guess. What's the side note, kind of dark funny, I guess, is Disney being the conduit for this conversation to appear is so fucking weird. But
hey, props for letting them do it.
Yeah, props. But I think anyway, we don't need to get into that.
Evil corporations.
It's just it's like what a like wild story though. Like so Isaiah Bradley gets essentially thrown in prison for 30 years and experimented on for rescuing his fellow soldiers from a camp that the government was going to bomb.
Doing what Cap did.
That's what exactly it, dude. It reminded me of Captain America in the first Avenger, dude.
And he became a fucking hero because of it.
Yeah, and what they did to
him. I was so pissed when I was watching it. I was like, this doesn't surprise me.
No.
Like,
dude, on top of it, like, the weight of it, like the layer of like losing, the love of his life, like, just the idea that he's basically, he's considered dead. He's probably living under an alias now.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want Sam's help. That's one of the interesting things about that scene is Sam's like, I'm in a position that can probably help you. And he just immediately fires back with you think times have changed kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like you don't even recognize like that they haven't. And that optimism is the optimism that he had.
Yeah.
At one point in time, probably. And I don't know, man, like it's just it's heavy. And
it is,
it's a damn shame that this conversation still has to be had, but I'm glad that at least it's being plugged into mainstream media.
It's being done reasonably well.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean.
In an approachable fashion.
In an approachable way, in a digestible way, they are providing this conversation for viewers, and probably a lot of viewers that would not turn their eyes or ears towards that kind of conversation, even though these are fictional characters.
Hey, in the words of our favorite dude, David Harbour, at the when Winona Ryder looked like she was tripping balls on stage. Good fiction can change the world for the better, and I completely agree. This is one of those things that somebody who may have not engaged with racial issues or might have thought that racism didn't fucking exist could watch that and be like, at least provoked to think more about it.
Yeah.
I doubt it'll change any fucking fringe people's minds, but it might get people thinking, and that's
QAnon crowd ain't changing their mind after that.
They're not changing their mind.
But they probably watched that episode, which is super interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the other shit that happens in this episode is really kind of this episode is centered around the Shield.
Oh.
And it continues to kind of be driven by that, right? Like,
yeah.
I loved that the rest of the episode was almost kind of peaceful in this way, where it's, Sam and Sarah and Bucky, mostly Sam and Bucky, but Sarah, his sister, being there. They're all like basically working on this boat, getting the boat up and running and doing what they can with it, and they involve the community. And it's like this, they have this big reminder that they're not forgotten, even though they feel forgotten. And that in itself is another like great message, is that like your community can be something. It's not just a bunch of people that you live around.
Exactly. It was a very wholesome episode, other than the intro.
Yeah, but
that sequence. I mean, that was a pretty wholesome sequence. I mean,
yeah. But then,
we get Madam Hydra briefly.
You get Madam Hydra, which was interesting. Julia Louis-Dreyfus popping in.
I like that casting.
So do I. But it's interesting that she was supposed to originally appear in the Black Widow movie, but they, plugged this in first.
Yeah, I heard that she's in the Black Widow movie.
Yeah. Seemingly she's the new head of Hydra. So there's that. There's also, Bucky taking Zemo, turning him over to the Wakandans,
and they're putting him at the raft,
which is that was a cool plug.
Thunderbolts, man, it's gonna happen,
dude. I think
Hulk.
I think they're building up for it, man. And then,
dude, U.S. agent Zemo, Red Hulk. You got starting line for the fucking Thunderbolts right there.
For real though, man. Put Loki in there. Something, I don't know. You need some god. You need some alien or god. But it's they did a lot of like interesting building, connective building in this episode, with more Wakandan involvement. Sam supposedly gets some sort of box filled with something.
It's gonna be a dope Captain America suit.
Be a dope fucking suit, dude. I can't wait to see that shit next episode. I knew it right away. I was like, there's something in that I want to see.
So quickly before we wrap up, the last thing I want to say about Falcon the Winter Soldier is that it feels like most storylines have come full circle at this point in the series.
Mm-hmm.
And that most, like, Bucky and Sam are friends. Sam gave Bucky a bit tough love. Bucky understands why Sam chose not to take the shield initially and apologized for it. A lot of the character dialogue is finished. So I guarantee we're going to have a pretty action-heavy next episode that's focusing on wrapping up the Thunderbolts. Not the Thunderbolts, the Flag Smashers.
Yeah.
And we're going to probably get little character work because they've already done it. They've set us up to just have a fucking fun final episode.
I agree, man. And that to me is like a perfect season where it's like,
absolutely,
you get your fulfilling character story arcs, and then you get that, like, boom, you leave off on a
cherry on the top.
Yeah, buddy. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that last episode. But, and importantly, John Walker apparently is not giving up as Captain America.
He made himself a new shield,
which I thought was so funny. I was like, that shit ain't going to hold up to anything, man. Like,
no.
Like, he's welding it together. Like, Sam's shield will...
I hope he's not throwing it. I hope he's just, if he's going to be using it, he's probably just going to be bludgeoning people.
That's what I imagine too. It's just going to be a blunt instrument of like, to hit things with.
Because that thing, it's not going to bounce. Come on. A steel frisbee? Get out of here.
Nice try, pal.
I would love it. I would love it so much if he shows up, he's walking up with a fucking shield and he throws it and it just like immediately falls to the ground. And he just shrugs.
The wind blows it away.
Yeah. God damn.
It, I thought it was heavier. Anyway, yeah, dude, lots of fun tidbits this week. So we'll have to see how. We'll have Mortal Kombat next week. And probably
Mortal Kombat, Falcon the Winter Soldier finale.
Anyway, in between now and then, hot dogs, make sure you get on Instagram, follow us at Old Heart Radio.
There it is.
Subscribe to the YouTube. You can find the podcast just in general for your information on iTunes and Spotify. That's where we keep them mostly. I think technically it automatically posts to iHeartRadio, but I never use that, so I don't.
Neither do I.
I've never cared.
Yeah,
it is what it is. Either way,
Twitter as well.
Oh yeah,
Old Heart in Space.
Old Heart in Space on Twitter. So
there it goes.
Tell your favorite Fast and Furious family member to listen to the podcast.